Let's talk about lead magnets. Now, you've definitely seen lead magnets on the internet. You've seen them on Twitter, you've seen them on YouTube, you've seen them on Instagram, especially with ManyChat as a feature now, and we're going to talk about ManyChat here in this video. You've seen these lead magnets everywhere. Usually what it looks like is, give me your name and email, and I'll give you this free thing. Now, Alex Hormozi, in his free book, the Leads thing, $100 million leads, he went into like this long spiel about this, so we're going to go into a very short presentation here about this. This is very easy to understand. Lead magnets are basically freebies, like handing out flyers on the street, of ways to get customers in your pipeline. How do you get prospects in your pipeline? You give them something for free. Because there's a law called the law of reciprocity, where if you give something to somebody, maybe they'll give something to you back. Now, that being said, lead magnets are interesting because there's a lot of different ways to do them. You have free courses, you have PDFs, you have ebooks, you have documents, you have Loom videos. It's usually some form of content. Now, for all intents and purposes, internet marketing is content. We are delivering content and information because we're selling info here. We're selling information and we're delivering information to the customer. Now, that's going to be on email. That's going to be maybe in some sort of platform like WAP. And we are giving them information in return for their information, which is their name, their email, their phone number. Now, really quickly here, if you want to maximize the amount of money that you make from info products and the amount of money and the amount of leads you get from your lead magnets, you want to make sure you're collecting phone numbers. This is going to aid you in the fact that you need phone numbers in order to have later on your outbound sales team, or if you don't have a sales team, you can hit these people up and you can close them and you can make more money. Every single lead is worth a certain amount of money. And you want to make sure that you're maximizing the value from all of these leads that you get in order to make the most money possible with as little amount of effort as possible. We are not reinventing the wheel. We're selling info. We're giving lead magnets. All we want is traffic and customers, and we want to get their information so that we can sell them something. We're not doing this for charity. We are doing it to sell them something. So you need 4 things in order to have lead magnets go well and do this in your favor. Now, if you're watching this and you were a part of the Course Guru free course, you saw me say, here's a landing page, here's an opt-in, and then when you put your information in, you're going to be able to get access to a free video. And it was a 50-minute presentation of me going over the information marketing industry, the course industry, the state of it right now, and tips and tricks on how you can get started. That being said, that's just one lead magnet. Now, there's tons of different lead magnets. I could have done document, PDF. A lot of people are just doing Google Docs now instead of doing PDFs, so people don't have to download stuff and they can just hit a link. That works as well. YouTube videos that are unlisted, different sections on your landing page where they get taken to a free training. There's always some sort of free information content, and we're going to use air quotes here, free, that people are getting when you're actually going and subscribing to lead magnets. That being said, you need to get people interested, number 1. So there's 4 different components. We're going to go over them here. And you get people interested, and you have to get people to want it. There has to be some sort of value proposition as to why they're subscribing to the lead magnet. Now, one of my first lead magnets was a sales course, which later became a part of the company I ran before, Cashflow Syndicate, which then transformed into, when I redid it, into a subsection of the agency course. And all of this stuff can be used together and everything can be synergized together later on. So you want people to be able to actually be interested in what it is that you're giving away. Now, a very good, clear indicator of if people want your stuff is if people are subscribing, if people are talking about it, the way that you incentivize people for reviews and testimonials and the customer research that you're doing. Every single point in your process when you're doing lead magnets, especially when you're trying to validate and offer an idea, a product, you want to make sure that people actually want your stuff and that there is a product market fit. Now, if I was to go and run around the streets of Los Angeles and I was to give homeless people flyers of how to make money online and how to become a guru, how to literally to take this course, they wouldn't do it because there's too big of a skill gap and a barrier to entry. They don't want it. But if I went and I gave a free lead magnet to homeless people about how to get more crack, about how to get alcohol for free, about how to get free food, they would want it. They would take it. So this is what I mean by product market fit. And I know that's a very extreme example, but that being said, this is what we're talking about. If you're trying to teach nuns how to have sex, you're probably not going to get any leads. But if you're trying to teach sex addicts how to have more sex, you're probably going to get leads. Now, I highlight these with extreme examples. If you say to degenerate gamblers, I will teach you how to gamble and make more money, or use this free thing, or my free sports betting picks, or my free trading guide, or my whatever it is, this free thing, this free group, this free Telegram, where they're going to get something for their information so that you can sell them stuff. What ends up happening is, if you have a great product market fit and all you need at the end there is distribution, you're going to get a ton of leads. So you have to get people interested and they have to want your stuff. Now, like I said, this can be a PDF, a doc, a guide, and all of these things can be PDFs or docs or guide at every point in this process. But now, the second component of this, so that was the first component, this is the second component of this, is you have to start building trust. Now, trust is built on two different fronts here. So on front number one, let's say the Eastern Front and the Western Front. On the Eastern Front, trust is built when they get to know you. They get to know your values. They get to know what you stand for. They get to know your experience, your credibility, and why you're an authority in the space. And even if you're not an authority in the space, we'll talk about how you can become an authority in the space. But you have to have them understand you and what you stand for, and they have to start to trust who you are and the things you say. And this is done by not only delivering quality information, but giving support, and also on the branding side and the personal branding side of things, being able to tell them who you are and be able to tell your story, which storytelling is a giant component of this, and we're going to talk about that later in this course. So, who you are, what your experience is, what you stand for, your values, your principles, all that stuff. The first question on the Eastern Front that you have to answer is as follows. Is this person for real? The second question is this guy a scammer? Number three is, are they legit? Now, this is what happens when you build trust and you build authority and you build credibility, and you can do this in your lead magnets by telling stories, by providing good information, and especially now that we have Telegram, we have Discord, and we have all of these different platforms where we can share our experience and share our lives and share value in real time. It doesn't just have to be an email or a pre-recorded webinar or a free course or a video or some document. We're able to do this and build this trust a lot faster. And so output is king here. And there's a lot of guys on Twitter, especially who have Telegram channels, who do it really well. Output is absolutely fundamental in the success of them building trust with you and you building trust with them, because you're building something called a parasocial relationship. A parasocial relationship is similar to how a lot of people will watch the Kardashians on TV and they feel like they know Kylie, or they feel like they know Kim. Similar. Or you watch your favorite guru on Twitter, or your favorite guru on YouTube or Instagram, and you feel like you know them because you have heard their story. You know their stories, you know them, you know about their life. You trust them, which is why you buy from them, which is probably why I bought this course. So, on the Eastern Front, you want to answer these questions first. On the Western Front, what you have to answer next is one simple question, and that is this going to work for me? So, in the trust stage, we answer the questions of are you legit? Are you a scammer? Are you for real? Is this real experience? Is this real stuff? Can I trust what this guy says? And on the Western Front, we have to answer, is this going to work for them? And the way that we answer that is by just simply telling them. All of these questions, all these questions are part of the human experience. What is personal is general. Every single person who buys info products, or every single person who opts into this stuff, what ends up happening is they all ask the same questions. They all operate with a degree of skepticism, and your lead magnets make them interested. Now, even if they're interested, they still might not trust you. There's a lot of stuff I'm interested in that I don't trust. A lot of it has to do with crypto markets and things like that, and different alternative investment strategies for me personally. But you have to answer these questions, which leads us beautifully and wonderfully into the third component of our lead magnets: proof that it works. And you can do this by showcasing your authority, your credibility, and all the things that you've done in order to not only make yourself successful, or how it's made other people successful, which is called borrowed credibility or borrowed authority. And so within these lead magnets, there's a few different things you can do, but what I'll talk about here is if you want to test your product or have a test cohort, you can start to generate testimonials, you can start to generate results. Now, something that I did that you may have seen me do, and you may have even been a part of it, was I took you through the free course of Course Guru, and I showed you all of my experience. I showed you that it works, I showed you why it works, I showed you how it works, and I gave you some practical tips. And then all I asked in return was for you to just send me a video testimonial and tell me what you learned. Now, is this proof that it works? Maybe. Is every single person that enrolls in this program, are they going to be successful? Probably not, because most people don't finish courses. But what I can say is that I can showcase my experience in these video testimonials because it's a bunch of people who are great people because they submitted testimonials and they all said nice things about me. But they all said, this is going to be great, this is great, this is great. So then when new people come onto the page, I took those videos, I put those on the landing page, and when new people come onto the page, they say, oh my God, there's all these people who are already making money, who are already successful, which they are successful. We've got people in the program that are doing $150,000 a month in a paid group with their paid group, and 7-figure marketing agencies and all these different people who are learning from me. And so we take that social proof element, and what ends up happening is more people opt in. More people want to know what is inside of this thing, where you have all of these people who are high level, who are actually genuinely experts of what they do, and they're great at what they do because I know a lot of them. They're phenomenal at what they do, saying good things. So it becomes something called a positive feedback loop. And so the more social proof you show, and I'll tell you here, there's no such thing as too much social proof. The only time too much social proof is a thing is when the web page, the landing page, doesn't load, right? Which I'll show you some strategies on how we can circumvent that later on with YouTube channels and things like that. But you want to just prove that your stuff works, and you want to always constantly show results. You always want to constantly show your hyper competency, and you always want to show your expertise, your confidence, your competency, and your conviction. The more convicted you are, the more money that you're going to make. Because if you are able to show that it works, talk about how it works, and other people are saying that it works, well, then it probably works. So, next, once they know that it works, you can go and you can get more leads, finally, by giving them some sort of sample, some sort of actionable sauce. Now, I've done this numerous amounts of times. I've done it with free videos on Twitter that'll get 100,000 views. I think one of the biggest videos I had, got it to 300,000 views. And it was a video on how to master your sales process because people were interested in learning sales. There were a few other videos I did, but if you go to my YouTube channel, there's just all actionable information about, how to do sales and how to do different things in business and different business problems that we faced and things like that. And all that stuff doesn't get that many views. But what it does do is it makes a lot of money on the back end, because there might be a video that has 2,000 or 3,000 views, but 30 people bought a product at $3,000. Run the numbers. So this is how you do your lead magnets. I can show you all these different examples. It's really not about that. It's about these 4 key components. Like I said, you want to be able to get people interested. You got to have people wanting your stuff. Number 2 is you got to build trust. And you have to build that parasocial relationship and also build regular relationships with these people and your prospects and customers, because you have to understand how they think. Then you have to answer questions. Is this person for real? Are they a scammer? Are they legit? And then on the other side, is it going to work for me? And how you do that is you tell them in your material, you tell them in your lead magnet, and you can also combine all this stuff in your lead magnet. Then level 3 is you want to show proof that it works, testimonials. You maybe want to take on a test cohort of people. You have guinea pigs that you help or people that you work with, at a nominal fee or something like that, just to validate your ideas and validate your product, market research. And then Component 4 is you give them a sample and you put this stuff out to the world to get more leads, to showcase your authority, to showcase your credibility, and to make more money.